All right, let's dive into the fascinating world of prana. We're talking about a fundamental energy in ancient Indian philosophy and yoga, and we're going to explore it through the work of Swami Vivekananda.
A key figure in bringing these ideas to the West.
Exactly. Our source today is an excerpt from The Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda on YouTube. We'll really unpack his insights on prana, how it connects to the universe, and even how it relates to things like spiritualism and science.
It's truly fascinating how Vivekananda goes beyond simple breathing exercises and delves into the energy that makes up everything around us.
So he talks about akasha and prana. Can you break down what they represent for those hearing these terms for the first time?
Think of Akasha as the most basic substance in the universe. It's like a sort of cosmic backdrop.
Like an infinite canvas.
Exactly. And prana is the dynamic force that acts upon this Akasha. It gives rise to the forms and phenomena we experience.
So akasha is like the raw material, and prana is the energy that shapes it.
Precisely, like a sculptor molding clay.
Okay, I get it. The clay is akasha, and the sculptor's hands and the energy they exert are like prana.
Together, they bring form into existence. In Vivekananda's view, everything, from stars and planets to thoughts and emotions, arises from Akasha and Prana.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It makes you wonder, if prana is shaping the universe around us, could it also be working within us? Does Vivekananda address that?
Absolutely. He dives deep into that. One common misconception is that prana is simply our breath.
Right, I've heard that too.
While breath is connected to prana, it's not the whole picture. Breathing practices or pranayama are just one way to access and control prana, but it's much more expansive.
So if prana is more than just breath, what else does it encompass? How does it affect our daily lives, even if we aren't actively practicing yoga or meditation?
Well, Vivekananda describes prana as the source of all energy and force in the universe.
Interesting.
Think about it, your heartbeat, the signals traveling through your nerves, even gravity.
It's all prana.
He argues that these are all manifestations of prana.
So we're interacting with it constantly, whether we realize it or not. But if prana is this fundamental force, how does that relate to things like science and technology? Would Vivekananda say those fields are also exploring prana, even if they don't use that term?
That's a great question. Vivekananda suggests that even scientific endeavors can be seen as ways of manipulating and harnessing prana.
Even if we don't frame it in those terms.
Right. For instance, when we generate electricity or build machines.
We're channeling and directing prana in specific ways.
Exactly.
So instead of seeing science and spirituality as totally separate, Vivekananda proposes that they might actually be different approaches to understanding the same fundamental force.
Exactly. He challenges us to consider that seemingly different fields might be exploring different parts of the same underlying reality.
That's a radical idea. It makes you rethink the universe and our place in it. So if science and spirituality are both dealing with prana, could they learn from each other? Could a deeper understanding of prana lead to new scientific discoveries or technological advancements?
That's an insightful question. Vivekananda definitely believed a deeper understanding of prana could lead to breakthroughs in various fields. He pointed out that yogis, through practices like pranayama and meditation, have developed sophisticated techniques for controlling and manipulating prana within their own bodies.
So we're talking about things like the supposed abilities of yogis to control their heart rate, body temperature, or even influence their surroundings.
That's part of it, yes, but it goes deeper than that. He suggests that mastering prana could allow individuals to achieve seemingly superhuman feats, from healing illnesses to influencing the minds of others.
Okay, now that's where things start to get a bit more speculative.
Right.
I can see how regulating your breath could affect your health and well-being, but influencing the minds of others. That sounds more like science fiction.
It's important to approach these claims with skepticism, but Vivekananda's point is that there might be more to prana than we understand. He challenges us to be open to the possibilities, even if they seem outlandish.
So even if we don't buy into telepathy or paranormal abilities, there's still value in exploring the potential of prana in a more grounded way.
Absolutely. Even without the supernatural stuff, the concept of prana offers a rich framework for understanding our energy, vitality, and connection to the world around us.
This is also intriguing. We've gone from prana as a life force to exploring its connections to science and even the possibility of extraordinary abilities. But before we get carried away, let's bring things back down to earth and explore what mastering prana might look like in a practical way.
That's a great idea. Let's delve into some of the more tangible aspects of prana and how we can start to work with this energy in our own lives.
Perfect. I think our listeners are eager to learn how they can tap into this prana and experience its benefits firsthand. So we've talked about prana as this fundamental energy. It's shaping the universe and it's even working within us. You mentioned that there are different levels of mastery when it comes to prana. What does that mean? Is it like a skill you can develop?
Yeah, that's a great point. Vivekananda suggests that there are varying degrees of mastery. He uses the analogy of waves in the ocean.
Oh, I like that.
Some are massive and powerful.
And others are tiny ripples.
Exactly. We all have prana flowing through us, but the intensity and control can vary greatly.
Okay, so some people are more tuned in to this energy flow than others. But even those of us starting with small ripples can learn to build bigger waves.
Exactly. He emphasizes that while some people may have a natural predisposition, everyone has the potential to develop their capacity. It's about dedicated practice, refining awareness, and cultivating the mindset.
So it's not just about talent, but also about putting in the effort. That's encouraging. But what does that practice actually look like? How do we go from being unaware of prana to actually mastering it?
Vivekananda talks about several practices that can help refine our awareness and control over prana. One of the most well-known is pranayama.
Right, pranayama.
It involves specific breathing techniques designed to regulate the flow of prana within the body.
Pranayama is often translated as breath control, right? But we've already established that prana is more than just breath. So what's really happening during these pranayama practices?
It's true that pranayama often gets simplified to just breath control, but by consciously regulating our breath, we're influencing the flow of prana throughout our system.
So it's like using the breath as a tool.
Yeah, it's like a lever to access and control this deeper energy.
That makes sense. Are there other tools or techniques Vivekananda recommends for working with prana?
Meditation and concentration.
Okay.
By calming the mind, focusing our attention, we create a more receptive state for prana to flow.
Smoothly and powerfully.
He suggests that mental mastery is crucial for harnessing the potential of prana.
So it's not just about the breathing exercises. It's also about cultivating a mental state that supports the flow of prana. It seems like there's a mental and physical aspect to this mastery.
Absolutely. He emphasizes that true mastery requires a holistic approach that integrates both the body and the mind.
I'm curious about something. We've touched on some of the extraordinary claims associated with prana mastery, like healing or influencing others. But let's set those aside for a moment. What are some tangible benefits someone might experience by developing their prana awareness?
That's a great question. Many people who practice pranayama and other prana-focused techniques experience reduced stress and anxiety,
Okay.
increased energy and vitality, even improved mental clarity and focus.
So instead of focusing on bending spoons or reading minds, we can use these practices to enhance our well-being on a more foundational level. That makes prana much more accessible and appealing to the average person who's simply looking to improve their quality of life.
Exactly. The beauty of working with prana is that it can be tailored to individual needs and goals, whether you're seeking stress relief, increased energy, or a deeper connection to your inner self. There are prana-based practices that can support you on that journey.
I like that. It's not about conforming to some rigid system, but finding practices that help you cultivate well-being. But I have to ask, if prana is this fundamental force flowing through all of us, are there things we might do unconsciously that are blocking or depleting our prana? Are there lifestyle choices we should be mindful of?
That's a very perceptive question. Vivekananda does touch upon this idea. He suggests that certain lifestyle choices can impact our prana levels. For instance, he emphasizes the importance of a balanced diet, regular exercise, and adequate rest
All the things we hear all the time.
for maintaining a healthy flow of prana.
So it's not just about specific practices like pranayama or meditation. It's about cultivating a lifestyle that supports our well-being. It seems like ancient wisdom aligns with modern ideas about holistic health.
Absolutely. He believed that true health and vitality stem from a harmonious balance of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and that prana is the key to achieving this balance.
This is making a lot of sense. But I'm still curious about those more out there claims about prana, like the idea that we can use it to heal ourselves or even influence others. Is there anything in Vivekananda's work that supports those ideas?
Vivekananda doesn't shy away from these more esoteric aspects of prana. He acknowledges the accounts of yogis and healers who have supposedly demonstrated extraordinary abilities
Through their mastery of prana.
through your mastery of prana.
So he doesn't dismiss those claims outright, but he also doesn't present them as absolute truths.
Exactly. He presents them as possibilities, inviting us to explore these concepts with an open mind while also grounding ourselves in the more practical applications of prana.
That's a balanced approach. It allows us to acknowledge the potential of prana without getting lost in speculation.
He reminds us that the path to prana mastery is a journey of self-discovery, and that the true rewards lie in the transformation we experience along the way.
This has been an incredibly enlightening conversation. We've covered so much ground, from the basics of prana to its potential applications in our daily lives, and even the more mystical possibilities.
It's been a fascinating exploration of Vivekananda's insights.
But I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to discover.
Before we wrap up this part, I want to make sure we circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the idea that prana can vary in intensity, that there are different levels of mastery.
Yes, that's a key point.
You use the analogy of waves in the ocean, some being massive and others being tiny ripples. That's a great visual. But it raises some questions. If we're all expressions of this one prana, why do some people seem to have a stronger connection to it than others? Is it purely a matter of practice and effort, or are there other factors?
That's a fascinating question, and one that has been pondered for centuries. Vivekananda suggests that while practice and effort certainly play a role, there are also factors like karma, past experiences, and even our innate predispositions that can influence our prana levels and our capacity to work with this energy.
So it's a complex interplay of factors.
Precisely. He believed that understanding these factors can help us tailor our practices and approach our journey of prana mastery with greater awareness.
That's a valuable insight.
Yeah.
It reminds us that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to working with prana. We each have our own starting point,
And our own paths to follow.
and that each of us has the potential to tap into this incredible energy and use it to transform our lives and the world around us.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message. And a perfect segue into the next part of our discussion. We've explored the nature of prana, its potential benefits, and even the idea that there are different levels of mastery. But now I think it's time to get more practical and explore some specific techniques and practices that our listeners can use to start working with prana.
I'm happy to share some insights.
I know our listeners are eager to learn how they can tap into this amazing energy and experience its transformative power firsthand. Welcome back to our deep dive into prana. We've been exploring this concept through the insights of Swami Vivekananda, and now it's time to get practical. If someone is listening and wants to explore prana themselves, where would you suggest they begin?
That's a great question. So many avenues, but I think starting with the breath is a wonderful foundation.
Okay, focusing on the breath.
Even simple breathing exercises can be surprisingly powerful.
That makes sense, given the connection to pranayama. But for a beginner, are we talking about deep breathing, specific techniques? Where is a good place to start?
There are tons of breathing techniques, but one of the simplest and most effective is diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay.
You can find instructions online or in yoga classes. The key is to focus on breathing deeply into your belly and not just your chest.
Diaphragmatic breathing, got it. So as you practice this, are you trying to feel the prana moving, or is it more about the physical sensations?
It's a bit of both. At first, it's mostly about training your awareness, getting comfortable with the practice. But as you become more attuned to your breath, you might start to notice subtle shifts.
In your energies?
In your energy levels, your mood, even your mental clarity.
Like you're becoming more sensitive to the subtle flow of energy within you.
Exactly. That increased sensitivity is key to prana mastery. It's about developing a felt sense of this energy that goes beyond just the physical.
That makes sense.
Oh.
But it takes time to get to that point.
Yeah.
Are there other practices besides breathing that can help connect with prana?
Meditation.
Meditation, okay.
Another powerful practice Vivekananda advocated for, and you don't have to be a Zen master to benefit.
Right.
Even a few minutes each day can have a huge impact on your prana levels and well-being.
Okay, so breathing exercises and meditation. Two great starting points. But what about those of us who live in the real world, with busy schedules? How do we integrate these practices without it being overwhelming?
That's a valid concern. The key is to start small and be consistent. Just 5 or 10 minutes each day can be more beneficial than sporadic hour-long sessions.
So it's about quality over quantity.
Absolutely. And you can get creative with how you integrate these practices. Try deep breathing while you're in traffic or waiting in line.
Oh, I like that. Sneaking it in.
Use your lunch break to meditate.
Finding those pockets of time.
Exactly. As you make these practices regular, they become more effortless and enjoyable, even something you look forward to.
I can see that. It's like developing any habit. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
Precisely. And as you become more attuned to prana, you might find that it starts to guide you in other areas of your life.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Vivekananda believed that as we cultivate prana awareness, we become more sensitive to the energy of our surroundings, the people we interact with, even the food we eat. This can help us make choices that are more aligned with our well-being.
So prana becomes like a compass, guiding us towards what nourishes us.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not about becoming obsessed with energy, but about developing a subtle sense of what feels right.
On a deeper level,
Yeah.
that's empowering. It's like we're tapping into an inner wisdom.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from understanding prana as this life force to its practical applications and even its potential to transform our consciousness.
It really has.
As we wrap up, is there one final piece of advice you would offer to our listeners who want to explore prana?
Approach this journey with curiosity, openness, and a sense of playfulness. Don't get bogged down in dogma or rigid rules. Experiment, explore, and most importantly, have fun.
This is about empowering ourselves,
Yeah.
not restricting ourselves.
Exactly. And remember, small steps can lead to profound transformations.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. To all our deep divers out there, thank you for joining us on this exploration of prana. May your journey be filled with discovery, joy, and a deeper connection to the energy that flows within you and all around you. Until next time, keep diving deep.